Hey there, welcome back to Infodumps with Pichu. I am Pichu, and today for episode 4, I'm going to be talking about the wonderful Chessington World of Adventures. So, first of all, I want to start off. I am, in fact, wearing a hoodie of one of the roller coasters at Chessington that I got when I was there last. I went in. What month was it? I was down south for a funeral, and we went to Chessington World of Adventures in June. That was the month. Yeah, so I was there in June. So I haven't been to Chessington World of Adventures since I was a kid, right? It's like out of all the theme parks in the UK, it's probably one of the ones that's more for kids, right? A lot of the rides there, like they don't have anything that's like super thrill seeking, you know. Well, they do now. They have one, but aside from that, it's mostly for a younger demographic, right? So, yeah, I hadn't been there for years and years and years, so a lot of my recollection of the park is from sort of, I would say, the late 2000s to the early 2010s, I would say, is sort of my like key point of knowledge of Chessington World of Adventures, back when they still had Beano Land, if you remember that, based off of the Beano comics. So yeah, there's that sort of my era of Chessington World of Adventures. But yeah, so I went recently, and I actually have the park map from when I went. It's got the names of all the rides on it. So I'm going to be referring to. I haven't opened it fully out because it won't fit on my desk, but it is the full map. And yeah, so I'm going to refer to that to sort of remember what rides there are, because trying to remember all of those rides off the top of my head, I can remember most of them, but there are some where it's like, you know, a little bit of like a reference point is helpful. So there's that. And then, yeah, so I'm just going to go through Chester Mod Adventures, my memories of it, sort of the nostalgia that comes along with it, and sort of just talk about the park, because for me, roller coasters have been the biggest interest of mine, a special interest, you could say. Um, you know, because I do have ADHD. I am, you know, I am prone to having like hyperfixations and stuff. But roller coasters is the only one I would say is like a special interest. So yeah, for me, all like I'm going to mention the three main UK theme parks in this series. I'm going to have a video on each one. I'm starting with Chessington. Thorpe Park will be later on, and then Alton Towers further down the line. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about all of them eventually, but yeah, today is Chessington. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down the map, the list of the rides on the map. I'm gonna pick and choose ones that I want to talk about, that I have something to say about, and then yeah, we'll just kind of get into a little bit of a discussion about the memories and the rides of Chessington World of Adventures. So, what am I going to go for first? We have, I don't know what Jungle Rangers is. I also don't know what River Rafts is. Treetop Hoppers, is that what used to be Berry Bouncers? Or is Berry Bouncers at Alton Towers? Because I remember there used to be like a Ribena themed area of Chessington World of Adventures where they had sort of more younger kid rides there. So there was like one of those like bouncer ones. I think that one was Berry Bouncers. And they had a few other rides that were just sort of themed to Ribena back in my day, which that is really what it feels like, because I am really talking like late 2000s here. So yeah, there's that. Tiny Truckers, I think I do remember that one. It's like you sit on a little car and then it just goes around. These are like the little Rangers things. Oh, Dragon's Playhouse. Dragon's Playhouse used to slap back in the day. If you went to Chessington on like a sunny day, which back in the 2000s, quite rare, there was this massive like outdoor like play area bit, and there was an indoor play area bit as well. And it was almost like a rope play area. You know how they have like those sort of like tunnels where it's like ropes and then you like climb through. That was so much fun when I was a kid. I remember always wanting to go on it, but my dad being like, I'm not just gonna stand here while you play in a play area. We are here to go on rides. I will be bored otherwise. So I never really got to go on it often, but when he did let me, it was always so much fun. I always loved it. What else have we got? Oh, not the Gruffalo. I have so many gripes. Sorry. I have so many gripes about the Gruffalo. Not as a character or a book series, I mean like the ride at Chessington. So, before my time, what is now the Gruffalo, I think it's Gruffalo River Adventure or something. Let me do it this way. It is now the Gruffalo. Before it was the Gruffalo, it was Imperial Leather Bubbleworks, and that's what I remember it to be. It was creepy as anything. Like, genuinely, it was kind of mildly terrifying, but I was obsessed with it. With it being a water ride, like, you'd think it's not one to go on in winter, but you don't get, like, super, like, soaked on it or anything. There's just, like, little, like, splashes. So I always made my dad go on it with me. Because I just loved it. It was such, like, an experience, right? Because you'd go through and you would see all of these, like, built scenes. Like, they had, like, these massive sculptures of, like, bathtubs, of rubber ducks. There was, like, bubbles. It was, like, really well-built scenes with really just interesting audio. I think, yeah, like, it was so good, and it smelled really good, because it was, like, obviously Imperial Leather, so they would put, like, soap smells. They were just funneling soap smells into the ride area. So that was such a good ride. I was obsessed with it. But before it was Imperial Leather Bubbleworks, I believe it was Professor Burp's Bubbleworks, which is where a lot of the sort of sculptures and stuff came from back when it was there. And from what I've seen of that, that was, like, the best iteration of the ride. So it wasn't sponsored or anything, it was just based on Professor Burp, who was just, like, this old guy doing, like, experiments and stuff. So that's what Bubbleworks used to be. And it used to be so good. Like, even though I never got to go on I don't think I ever went on the Professor Burp's version. I'll have to check when they changed it to Imperial Leather. Because I think that was when I was there. You know, it was Imperial Leather. But anyway, so I was obsessed with Bubbleworks. I loved Bubbleworks. I would say it was in my top 3 rides at Chessington World of Adventures as a kid, because I was just obsessed with Bubbleworks. But when me and my dad went in June when we were there for this funeral, we went on the Gruffalo to be like, you know, I used to love Bubbleworks. Let's just see how the new version of this ride is, right, Gruffalo? And Gruffalo's been Gruffalo for a while, so that's kind of a testament to how long it's been since I'd been to Chessington. But we were very disappointed. Like, the theming was shit. It wasn't, there was, like, a few, like, sculptures of characters here and there, but it was a lot of, like, fake leaf decoration with TV screens playing videos. And that was it. Like, that was kind of just it. And there was, like, sounds and stuff, but it was just, like, a narration of, I think, one of the books, and then, like, really loud and overstimulating animal sounds. But you couldn't really hear either, so it was just really, I found it to be extremely overstimulating, because I was like, there are so many sounds going on, but I can't really process any of them, so it's just sound. And it smelled awful too, because I think they were trying to make it be like, ooh, it's a forest or whatever. And it just smelled weird. It was just mostly, like, shitty TV screens playing videos. Like, I wasn't impressed, and neither was my dad. We both walked out and we were like, what was that? What was the point of that? Why did, you know? So anyway, nothing against the Gruffalo. Just what they had turned the ride into was a lot more disappointing, because I had such a love for what it was previously. So that's my thoughts on Gruffalo. We didn't do Room on the Broom tour, but I do remember when it used to be, but I used to love it when it was, what was it called originally? It was, I don't remember. But it was like, what you would do is it was a walkthrough thing, and you'd have these, like, 3D glasses, which my dad can't see 3D, and I'm kind of blind without my glasses, so it was kind of an iffy experience in that sense. But you used to just kind of walk through, and there were these, like, cheeky little, like, gremlin things, and they were just up to mischief, and it was just a lot of fun to, like, walk through. It was very, like, ooh, like, there was, like, optical illusions and stuff. I remember that being really fun, but yeah, there was a massive queue for Room on the Broom, so we never actually ended up walking through and actually doing that experience. What's next that I can talk about? Tomb Blaster. Tomb Blaster is a good ride. Like, I love those, those rides where it's like Tomb Blaster, and then Alton Towers, they had Duel. That's what it's called. It's called Duel. Where those ones where you just go around on a really slow track, and you've got these guns, and you're like, pew, 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 pew. That's kind of the vibe. It's one of those. So Tomb Blaster is a lot of fun. It's like, if you're on your own, you're not gonna go on it. But if you're with, like, friends or family, it's a really fun one to just, like, compete with each other. It was also really nostalgic, because it seemed like they hadn't really changed much. Like, it felt the same as it did when I went as a kid. So I was like, okay, this is just nostalgia. Like, because I think the first time we went on it twice. The first time my gun wasn't working properly. So I was just kind of looking at everything, and I was like, wow, this is the same ride as it was back in the day. Like, they really haven't really changed much. But I liked that. I was like, I can proper, like, feel the nostalgia for this. So that was really cool. And also the queue line is just iconic. I think someone did get injured on it, but that's just because they, like, fell from a railing or something. Because the queue line is it's like Indiana Jones type theming. So it's a lot of just, like, ropes and, like, walk bridges, stuff like that. But yeah, like, the theming of it is just absolutely incredible. So I was really happy to go on that and see that it was basically the exact same. So that was really good. What else have we got? Mandrill Mayhem. Oh, okay, so we're getting to Mandrill Mayhem. This roller coaster, I think me and my dad went on it at least 6 times in one day. Because we only went to Chessington for one day. I genuinely think we did go on it at least 6 times. Like, it was so good. Like, we weren't expecting Chessington to have this, like, insanely good, like, fast, like, with an inversion roller coaster. But then we get there, and I'm like, there's this new ride, I've heard it's pretty good, let's check it out. And so my dad was like, yeah, sure, whatever. We go on it, and we're like, hold on. That's one of the best roller coasters in recent memory that we've, like, been on. So we were both just like, right, let's just keep going on this. So we went on it a couple of times. The woman sort of on the, sort of letting people onto the ride saw us, must have seen us about, like, 1 billion times by, like, that day. But yeah, so it was really good. I found it actually amazing. Because I remember that space that the world of Jumanji is on. I remember when they used to use that for, like, events. Like, I remember they at one point had it for, like a Mario game. I think they were, like, promoting a Mario game, so they put up, like, a tent there, and you would just go in, and there's, like, games and stuff. I remember they also used to use it for, like, inflatable assault courses, stuff like that. They used to use that space for little events and things like that. So to see that they've actually made it and built a really good roller coaster on it is really, really cool. It also gives me a lot of hope for, like, future generations of roller coaster lovers, right? I'm not going to say enthusiasts, but people who enjoy roller coasters. Because, like, before this, at Chessington, I'd say the most intense ride you've got is, like, Dragon's Fury, which isn't an intense ride really at all. So for them to actually, like, step up and build, like, an actually really good roller coaster that even, you know, adults who have been going on roller coasters their whole lives can enjoy and be like, hold on, that was really good. I think that's a really good sign for, you know, kids that grow up going to Chessington are then gonna have, like, a really cool, like, first, like, proper like roller coaster experience, like with an inversion, with like, you know, going backwards, and it has a launch as well. So that just gives me hope for like good roller coaster experiences, and it's a B&M, and I'm obsessed with B&M. Not Home Bargains, Bolliger and Mabillard. So yeah, that was Mandrill Mayhem, so I found that really good. Next, well, Blue Barnacle, we didn't go on it, but I remember back in the day, I don't remember what it was called, but it's just your typical pirate ship. But back in the day, it felt more intense and fast than any other pirate ship I'd ever been on. I don't know if that was actually true, but it felt that way. Like, you would sit on it and you'd be like, holy shit, this is like actually like going. So I used to love it back in the day, but I didn't go on it when we went back there recently. But like as a kid, I loved that ride. And then we move on to, okay, I'll talk about Tiger Rock. So Tiger Rock is what used to be Dragon Falls. So that area, like you'll see by like Dragon's Fury, that area used to be themed around like dragons and stuff. So yeah, it was called Dragon Falls. It's like your typical water ride. It has like, it's quite a long one, and it used to go past all of this really cool, I think it's more like traditional like Chinese dragon theming, which me and my dad loved, because my dad is really obsessed with like that part of sort of Chinese culture with like the dragons and all of that. So he absolutely loved the theming, and then I just absolutely loved it because it was a water ride, you know. So that was really, really good. They then changed it to be Tiger Rock, so it's like, I think they even have like real tigers in like enclosures and stuff there. I don't know. We didn't go on it because it was not warm enough to, really. But yeah, so it's kind of like they've changed the theming, but a water ride's a water ride, right? You're just gonna, you know, a water ride's a water ride. Nothing can beat the one at Thorpe Park, which the name has escaped me, but I'll talk about it in my Thorpe Park video, obviously. And then we have Dragon's Fury, which is a sort of spinning coaster. I can't remember who. Not typical for me to not remember a roller coaster manufacturer. It might be Maurer. I might be wrong. If it's not Maurer, take away my roller coaster special interest license, I guess. But yeah, it's a spinning coaster, and it just kind of just goes around like an area. It has no inversions or anything. It just kind of spins, like, depending on like the weight distribution and stuff like that. It's very similar to Spinball at Alton Towers. But yeah, it just kind of goes around like a bigger area. It's kind of nice to just like get a look at the park almost. So that was cool. I remember back in the day, actually, in the Dragon section, they used to have this massive Ferris wheel, but so they don't have anymore. But they used to just have this massive Ferris wheel. I think I maybe went on it once when like my grandparents were in town. But yeah, genuinely, they had a massive Ferris wheel. And then we have Vampire. Big up Vampire. Vampire was one of the very first roller coasters I ever went on. It might have been the first. I'll need to fact check with my dad, but I'm pretty sure it was one of the first, at least. And it has such special memories in my heart. So it used to be an Arrow suspended coaster. But then Arrow went out of business, and I believe Vekoma ended up sort of taking on all of the Arrow suspended coasters, because obviously Vekoma have Vekoma SLC, suspended looping coasters, which are terrible. If you're going on an inverted coaster, please go on a B&M inverted coaster, so like a Nemesis Inferno, a Batman clone, like, go on those. Don't go on Vekoma SLCs. They are rough as anything and will hurt you for days. But anyway, yeah, so it used to be an Arrow, so it used to have the, I believe they used to have so Arrow suspended coasters used to have these, like, car things, where, like, you were sat, like, in a kind of like an egg-shaped thing, so you were sat inside, like, an actual thing, and then it would just, like, swing. But then they stopped doing that, and then they made it just, like, your typical suspended coaster seats. So yeah, that's kind of what it became. But even so, I never got to go on it back in the old way, because I think Arrow went out of business, like, early 2000s, so I was still too young. But, yeah, even with, like, the new seats and stuff, it's, I say new, been, like, 20 years, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's still just a really good roller coaster. And, like, obviously it's not, like, thrilling. It doesn't go super fast. But it's, like, you know, it's quite tall. It makes you, you know, your nostalgic click, 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 click sound on the lift tail. And then it kind of just goes around, like, in nature. And you go past some, like, a little bit of theming and stuff. But yeah, it's just a really nice little, like, roller coaster. I don't know. But the inside of the queue line is genuinely incredible. So let me see if I have a video of the inside of the queue line. Where is the London trip? Okay, I don't have a video of the inside of the queue line, but I do have pictures. So I'm gonna move this way, and then I'm gonna insert a picture next to me of the inside of the queue line. So if you see it here, they actually have this, like, robotic guy, and he's playing, like, the organ or, like, the piano, and it plays this really cool music, like, this spooky music, and it's so good. The lighting is incredible. The lighting used to be a lot more dark when I was younger, but they probably had complaints of it being, like, too scary. So yeah, there's that. But genuinely, it's just a pure, like, nostalgia thing. Such a good ride. Obviously, I adore it. I also have the logo of Vampire tattooed on my leg. I tattooed it myself, so it's kind of bad. So I'm not going to show it because it's kind of bad. But I do also have this logo with the actual, like, text saying Vampire tattooed on my leg. Because I love it. It's like a nostalgic thing. It was one of the first rides I went on. So yeah, we absolutely love Vampire. Okay, and then the last ride that I'm going to talk about is, if you know, you know, Rattlesnake. Moment of silence for all of the backs that have been broken on Rattlesnake. Yeah, it's a painful one. You genuinely walk off it feeling like you've been in a fight. Like, you feel like you and the rattlesnake have fought. That's genuinely how you feel walking off this ride. Because it's your typical, what do they call it? Mouse. You know what I mean. It's like, yeah, you just kind of turn really tight corners and then just go, like, have sudden drops. And the cars are, and, like, the lap bars are really uncomfortable. You're also really close to the person next to you. So you're just in pain because you're, like, pushing against each other. And it's a whole painful experience. Like, but you kind of have to go on it once. Just to be like, once every time you go, just to be like, yep, still hurts to go on it. But yeah, so that's Rattlesnake. A personal favourite of mine, really. Because, like, it's like a bonding experience, you know. You go on it with, like, friends or family. And then you all walk off, like, trauma bonded over, like, just the insane, like, pain you feel. Like, when I was younger, it didn't really hurt that bad, because, you know, I was quite a slim kid. I didn't really have much to me. So it wasn't such, like, a tight, confined, ride car. But as I've grown up, I understand now. I understand why my dad was always like, let's not go on Rattlesnake. Because I understand it now. It hurts. Okay. So that's all the roller coasters. What I do want to do is I just want to talk a little bit more about, like, the memories of it. Like, I remember I went in, like, I guess the last time I went was, like, early to mid 2010s, because I went with my little cousin, and it was when Rah Rah the Noisy Lion was there. They had a show or, like, a walkthrough thing. And so who remembers Rah Rah the Noisy Lion? Like, I only knew of it because my little cousin was absolutely obsessed with it when he was, like, a little toddler. But yeah, there was a rather noisy lion there. I think that was just right outside where Beano Land used to be. Obviously, I have to talk about Beano Land too, because that was always my favourite place. Like, you had, like, the spinning thing, and it, like, would spray water at you, I think. That was really fun. You had, like, the indoor play area thing, and it was really well themed. It was really fun. My dad, like, you know, like, oh, what's his name? Dennis the Menace. That's from Beano Comics, so I always used to watch Dennis the Menace. My dad, like, loved comics. So he would always be like, yeah, we're going here, and I'm, like, teaching you the history of these characters. So that was always really fun. But then they changed it to just, like, boring animal. Like, it was just boring animal stuff. It's, like, what used to be, like, the really, like, cool, like, spinning thing. It had really cool artwork on it. It became, like, Monkey Swinger. And they just decorated everything, like, brown and, like, green. Because it was, like, animals. And so it just became really bad. Actually, I think I can see what the themed area is on the map. It is Forbidden Kingdom. But I think it was... Is it? Is it? It must be. I think it was actually shut when me and my dad went. I think it was actually shut. So we couldn't see it. I think they're probably, like, redoing it or something. But yeah, it used to be so good back in the day, and then they just kind of ruined it. But that's to be said about a lot of things. Like, it's the same about Gruffalo, you know? That used to be Bubbleworks, and it used to be awesome, and then now it's the Gruffalo and it's bad. Everything is just going to shit. And as I talk more about theme parks, we will come back to that topic, because I have things to say about Thorpe Park. I have things to say about Alton Towers. So, this has been a nice positive one. But, yeah, when we get to Thorpe Park for the next roller coaster themed episode of Infodumps with Pichu, there will be more negativity. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. This has been me talking about Chessington World of Adventures. The next episode, episode 5, is going to be my first K-pop video in this series. I love K-pop. I'm taking Bebop to the K-pop star today. I'm so happy. I love K-pop.
I'm taking Bebop to the K-pop store today.
I'm so happy. I love K-pop.
So yeah, episode 5 will be my first K-pop video of this series. It'll be about the boy group Ahoth, which is one of the very few boy groups I've ever liked. So I'm gonna get into all of that in the video. But yeah, this has been my video on Chessington World of Adventures. If you have kids and you live in a surrounding area, I recommend it. It's a really good theme park. I enjoyed it a lot as a kid. There's a lot of places to eat. There's a lot of, like, themed areas. There's a lot more rides that I also didn't go over. I just kind of went over the ones that I have memories of and that I really enjoyed. So yeah, thank you again for watching. This has been episode 4 of Infodumps with Pichu. Have a great day. Pichu out.